There's no one near him, I don't think. Hit us in the comments. I'm sure there's someone that we haven't thought of.
That's stuff the dreams are made of.
I don't even know if the teams would have noticed that he wasn't there.
I think it is, to be honest. I mean,
For me, that's so harsh.
This is a really important subject.
this problem's not going away.
I'm concerned because I know I played with concussions many, many times when I was young.
Now they're very playable. They're not unplayable.
In the middle of there was a few expletives.
Macca,
Yeah.
you do. Have you...
Oh, that is special. Unbelievable. This, ladies and gentlemen, is football.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Total A-Leagues. I'm Vince Rugari. 2 weeks left to go in the regular season. A lot of stuff still up for grabs, boys, in the greatest league in the world. Tommy Orr, Daniel McBreen, how are we?
Fantastic.
Good to be back.
Can see the finish line. Let's get into our moments of round 24. Macca, you can start us off.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Jets. And Daniel Wilmering, he's got a lot of assists this year, but he finally stepped up and got himself his first goal of the season. And this goal clinched them an ACL Elite spot for next season. So they've jumped now from the ACL 2 after winning the Australia Cup. And that goal there means that no Australian team can jump them in the league now. Now that for them, they've just got to go ahead and try and win that trophy.
It was a huge point with Auckland hot on their heels as well, and you just, it's coming down to the wire, 2 huge games left, and it hasn't been the same Jets as it was a month ago, but I think we're going to dive into them a bit after.
Wow.
Big one though, that's a big point as well for Heidelberg.
Oh,
From
yeah.
what we understand is that they're going to have first dibs if they can get everything, all their ducks in a row. So I think it's great.
Yeah, sensational finish as well from Daniel Wilmering. World-class stuff.
They're the ones you want. They're the ones you want. No one remembers how they
I
went
never
in.
seem to get any of them in my career for some reason.
Tommy, your go?
For me, it's Melbourne City. I think, the way their form in recent weeks, obviously 3 wins in a row, 4 wins out of their last 5 games. They are just charging into the finals. Eunice, again, was at the forefront of a lot of their good things in this game, but, they're just finding form at the right time of the season. I think Kuhn, what an assist this was as well.
Quality, wasn't it?
Matt Leckie as well back. I think there's just a lot of positive signs, and now with that 4-point buffer ahead of 7th, I think it's looking pretty promising for the City now to roar into the finals, really.
How far are Eunice and Leckie from the World Cup squad, do you think?
Leckie, I think, just by his reputation, is going to be spoken about. I think it might be too late for him to get enough fitness up. We know Popper loves that fitness stuff. Eunice, well, we spoke about him a few weeks back. I think he's just put more fire on the flame to say, why look at me, Popper? Give me a chance.
And I think even in this game, he probably wasn't as consistent in terms of his performance as the games before. I think the last kind of month, every game, the whole 90 minutes, he's been a threat. This game, I think he kind of came in and out of the game, but the last 20 minutes, when he scored, he obviously got a bicycle cleared off the line as well. He's just involved in everything, but it's the energy he plays with. I can imagine Popper liking the way he goes about his game.
Yeah. More fire in the flames, Macca. That's good. That's up in the air, that one.
I'm good with these analogies.
Mate, me too. I can't throw stones, and yet I do. So my moment of the round was at the Sydney Derby. A good, fun game, and the particular highlight for me was Hassan Toure. I mean, this goal, pretty, good finish, roof of the net areas, and then this, jumping over the hoardings, getting right in the grill of the RBB. I don't know what this is all about. I'm not sure what that means, but I love it. I love it. Just getting up them.
They weren't too happy about it, I don't think. But it's I think in the context of the Sydney FC season and this game, that was a huge goal as well, because Sydney FC was so dominant in that first half, and they weren't really taking the most of the opportunities. But his first touch as well, I think that kind of set him up for the great finish.
And it had been 4 months without a goal for him, so that's a great confidence boost going into the back end of the season.
Yep, absolutely. As we touched on earlier, the Premier's plate is still very much up in the air, Macca. It sort of is all going to come down to maybe it's going to get decided this weekend. That's if Auckland drop points and Newcastle win. Otherwise, we could be going to the final week of the season, not for the first time in the A-League, but it's great. One of the reasons why this league is amazing is because any team can beat any other team on any given day. And now the major prizes are still, you see some leagues in Europe where it gets decided 10 games out from the finish and all that sort of stuff. Here, Yeah.
That rarely happens in Australian football, that we have someone who's out and out runaway leader. It doesn't happen very often, and that's what I like about it. We were discussing in the green room about finals football, and anyone get into that final six, which we think is probably going to be already done. Anyone looking at anyone else go, we can beat them.
Yeah.
Whereas in another league, in another world, you'd be thinking, oh, I've got to play first. There's no chance. We're slim to none.
Yeah.
But the fact that, both teams have sort of started a little bit at going for that top spot, it just adds a little bit more to that. When we go to finals, that little bit of, is that aura there of the Newcastle that was before, or the aura that of Auckland had last season? Are they a little bit tarnished? Are they a little bit that the other teams are looking at them now and saying, well, they're not the teams that they were, and they do give us opportunities. And this game went back and forth, didn't it? Victory were in front for a while and really dominant, and then it flipped, and Auckland started to look like they were coming back, and then...
Yeah, huge. And I think you have to say with Auckland as well, with the injuries that they are carrying, I think that, it's a hardly ideal kind of situation with the sheer number of injuries they got to finish the season. So it always was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle this period for them. But I think that Newcastle as well, if you look at Newcastle 2 months ago, I think they were pretty much unplayable. Every game, doesn't matter who they played against, even Auckland away, went down to 10 men early in the game and they blew them all out of the water, off the park.
And now
they're very playable. They're not unplayable. So I think, as you said, going into finals, going off current form, the team that no one wants to play is Melbourne City.
But also, look at both those teams, Newcastle and Auckland. Auckland went through last year. Dan Hall was out for 5-6 weeks, but they had almost unchanged team or to choose from.
Yeah.
Newcastle, they lost Clayton Taylor and Eli Adams in the last month.
That's true.
Those injuries that both those are picking up are having an effect on them, and we're starting to see the depth of their squad having to shine through. But both have quality, as we've seen, to step up when needed.
Yeah. So Auckland have the Mariners at home this weekend, Sydney FC away. I think they can get results from both of those games, to be honest, which means it's all on the Jets, who we'll come to soon. Auckland won't have Steve Corica on the sidelines after he copped a red card. Was this just classic Bimby areas, or is this a coach feeling the pressure? Because to be honest, any given week, you're pretty likely to see Steve Corica blowing up on the sidelines.
Yeah, I think these games are pretty emotionally charged, particularly because what's on the line. There's no room for error now for Auckland, and he probably thinks that they almost have to get, in this game, he probably thought they needed 9 points from the last 3 games to have a chance at the Premier's plate. Only 2 games left. Obviously, Newcastle was a slip up after that game. But I just think that, when the margins are that tight and there's so much on the line, he probably did step over the line there.
When you also look at the way they bowed out in the finals last year, after they were the team of the season going through, and then all of a sudden they just faltered. I think when they sat down in their first meeting after that, they went, next year we go and win the premiership, and then we finish what we should have done last year. And there he could see the first hurdle slipping away.
Yeah. I'm sure you blokes have both played in games where your manager hasn't been present on the sidelines, be it due to a red card or other issues. How much of an impact does that have on the team? I suppose it depends a little bit on who the coach is, right?
Yeah, I think it does. I think, for example, we spoke about this before, but Ange Postecoglou, if he wasn't on the sideline, because he's just so involved in the game, he's kind of carrying you through the whole game. You would feel it if he wasn't on the sideline. But then I've had other managers. I remember Ante Milicic. There was a couple of weeks where he stepped away and Jolic took over the team, and we played well. And I think it was just more following the instructions and just carrying on. And I don't think it's an indication of the quality of the coach or anything, but just the character of the coach. And Corica, I think he's a big presence for Auckland.
Speaking of characters of the coach, Ernie Merrick in his latter years, when he used to just sit and just say nothing and just observe. I think if he got sent off, which would never happen because he didn't do anything, I don't even know if the teams would have noticed that he wasn't there.
Onto one of Ernie's teams, the Jets. Are we worried? 1 win in 4. It's obviously right there in front of them. They haven't been able to, really put their mark on this title race. The fact that it's still open is a little bit of evidence to that. If they don't get this done, and I think we all sort of hope they do, not only for everyone involved's sake, but because I think it's a great story for Australian football if they do, particularly Mark Milligan in his first season. But is it a choke if they don't do this?
I think it is, to be honest. I mean...
For me, that's so harsh.
Okay, but if you rewind 3 months and you say they would finish second, you'd be saying, that's a great season for the Jets. That's amazing. So that they're the victim of their own kind of success. But we've been talking about them for 2 or 3 months. like they were the best team. And, when they've played well, they are the best team, I still think. In terms of being the outlier in their performances, like I said before, they've been unplayable. When they're at their best, they're unplayable. So with all that conversation, for them to only win one of their last 4 games, wobble at the final hurdle, that does pose questions about whether they have the mettle to see it through.
Yeah, I agree. When you put yourself in the position where you're 3 or 4 points clear at the top with, it's all in your hands, and then you let it slip from there, that would be a choke. I don't think they're going to. But
we'll see.
Yeah. That's all right. I think that's all correct, but I just feel like it's a little bit... Choke is a harsh word for me in sport, and you're talking about a team that no one really thought was going to do anything this season, with a team that, when I talk to other people in A-League land and I talk about, how good the Jets are going, a lot of people dismiss them and just say, the NPL players and all that sort of stuff. So for a team, which I think is disrespectful, by the way, to what they've built there and the ability of some of those players, but I just think, to give them that label...
It's perspective, though.
Yeah.
At the start of the year, if they made finals, we would win. It's a great season. Yeah. They've already got a trophy, but then they were 4 points clear. So everything changes. Your perspective. You're now sitting at the top of the mountain, looking down instead of at the bottom, looking up.
That's right.
Well, give us your perspective on this, Macca, and you, Tommy, afterwards. But Mark Milligan, first season as a head coach, could yet do the... Well, he's got 1 trophy, double, treble. Like, there's
Domestic
2
treble.
trophies still in play for him. I think everyone's really impressed with what he's built. I don't know how many people are super surprised that he's turned out to be a good coach. I think that was pretty clear even when he was still playing. He just has that thing about him, the tactical knowledge, awareness, leadership qualities that he has. But would he be the best first-year coach we've seen in the A-League?
When we talk about first-year coach, we're not also, let's just clarify, we're not talking about someone their first year in the A-League, because we started having this conversation and we're like, but there's coaches who have come and had a great first year. We're talking about actual, this is your first year in charge of a team.
Yeah.
PK did very well in his first year as coach of Melbourne City, but he'd also coached in the women's and the youth team. Millsy's always just been an assistant.
Yeah.
So this is his actual first time in charge, and it's all great to say he has all those, those traits, and he's going to be this and that. To go and do it in your first year and then put that into play and get what he's got out of that team and those players is remarkable. And I'd have to say, without a doubt, especially if he goes and wins the premiership,
that's right. Yeah.
There's no one near him, I don't think, and. Hit us in the comments. I'm sure there's someone that we haven't thought of, but he's been phenomenal.
Well, I think the only 2 I can think of was Nick Montgomery, but I think he was only his second season where he did really well with the Mariners. And the other one was Italiano at Wellington. I think he was only an assistant before that.
About him.
And they came second, but, that's not title winning. He's already won the Australia Cup.
Yeah, so you can already argue that Millsy's in front of him.
Exactly. And to your point, what impresses me about Millsy is that earlier in the season, they were wobbling. Remember, they were conceding too many goals and people were saying, you need to be more defensive. He didn't change his approach. He just refined it, but he kept the belief in how he believes the game should be played, and they came through that period as by far the best team in the competition. So you have to give him a lot of credit to have that resilience and have that kind of toughness where I think a lot of other coaches would have folded.
Yeah. Wonder where he got that from, the whole, I won't change, we've got belief, etc., etc. Macca, this is a really important thing we're going to move on to now. In the Jets game, Will Dobson went down with concussion, some concerning scenes sort of in and around this incident. And it's not the first time we've seen this in the A-League this season. There's been a number of instances now where players have clearly sustained head knocks and for whatever reason have remained on the field, continued to play, and I think we all have concerns about what that could mean for their long-term health.
Yeah, well, I ended up speaking to one of the club doctors around this situation, and he said in other sports, they can go off, like you're talking about your leagues and your unions, they can go off and have someone come on because they have interchange. And while they're off, they can also look at the replays and see what happened because they might have missed it live. We don't have that option. So this is a really important subject when you talk about concussions and what happens in later effects. And if you haven't seen documentaries about it, there's plenty out there, plenty of information. But we were having a discussion and proposing that potentially when a player has a head knock like that, could we in football use our concussion sub who just comes on, and then if they go off, now straight away the other team would get a concussion sub as well. But if that player is deemed to be fine and the club wants to put him back on after they've gone through the head assessment, then they can go back on and that concussion player comes back off, but is able to come back on later as well as the sub. There's got to be something done because we've had 3 now in 3 weeks that this has happened
Yeah.
in the men's game. And I think in the women's game, I was talking to someone, there's been a few as well where they've been like, this has not been correct. So we need to look at this and we need to work out something that helps the doctors, because the doctors are just throwing... By the time they get it, like when we think about the Auckland player, was it Guillermo Mai the other week? By the time the doctor got out to him and saw him, after he'd already tensed up, the doctor might have missed that in the initial moments as he was getting his bag and running out, whatever. But if he saw that on video, there was no way in the world that he was going to let him back on.
You need to give them every resource available to make the best decision they can. I think that's ultimately what's important. And I completely agree with you. I think that as a sport, and a lot of sports are grappling with this issue, let's be clear, but I think as a sport, even though it's very inconvenient for the sport to address this, I think we need to be more aggressive in addressing it in terms of more... trying to find solutions more proactively and with more time urgency. Yeah. Because, this problem's not going away. It's only getting bigger and bigger. And I think that, what you just suggested is a potential solution. But whatever solutions they deem as appropriate, there needs to be more aggression in terms of implementing it, I think.
Yeah, this isn't a thing I think that the A-League can fix themselves. This is a
global thing.
This is a thing where IFAB is probably going to, and I'm not sure where they're at with this and if they've even aware of the incidents that have happened in Australia, or if there's anything similar that's happened around the world, but it would be something that needs to change in terms of the laws of the game for that to happen, because I don't think there's a better or cleaner solution. The alternatives are the player comes off for potentially a long period of time, and so a team is punished, reduced to 10 men for quite possibly up to 10 minutes potentially, for an incident that may not be anyone's fault or actually could be caused by the opposition. That's not fair. So I think the solution you've come up with, Macca, is what else can you do, to be honest?
Yeah, I think that's the only fair way, while it gives them the time to do the proper assessment, see the replays, do all that stuff. I know for a fact I played with concussions when I was younger because it wasn't a really big thing. And if I hadn't had that many, maybe, I'd be able to give better analogies because they just don't come. No, but I don't... Look, I had a big discussion on mine and Robbie Thompson's podcast about it. We went for ages. That little things now I'm concerned because I know I played with concussions many, many times when I was younger. Blurred vision, peripheral vision gone, stars in my eyes, and kept playing. And now you're getting to the age I am, really old, where you're starting to think, am I forgetting things because of my age, or am I forgetting things because I copped so many whacks in the head when I was younger? So it's really important because these things don't pop up till later in people's lives.
Yeah. Let's talk Sydney Derby. Wanderers fans, we're going to give you a pass this week. We won't rub it in. We're going to talk Sydney FC and, the week prior, Patrick Kisnorbo's first game, one shot on target. Tommy, this was a whole lot better, right?
It was, and I think the attacking intent of the team was clear to see from the first minute. I thought that some of their players, I thought Ben Corica in this game was fantastic. Yep. Toure was a constant threat. I think the way their front third kind of pressed the Wanderers back four, who we know the Wanderers back four was shaky, but they did put them under a lot of pressure. They played with a lot more energy, and I think Patrick Kisnorbo will be thrilled with their overall performance. If you're going to be critical, you probably could have said that they should have put the game to bed a lot earlier, Macca.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That positiveness, that aggression that we see, PK is almost his trademark of his team. It's 2 weeks in now and we're already starting to see it. And this is the kind of thing that I don't think we've really seen that little bit of finesse from Sydney, particularly of late. They seem to be a little bit stagnant, and now, all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, maybe Sydney are just a little bit riding a wave of confidence.
Yeah. That bloke giving it the big ones there at the end had some work to do, Devonish Mears. He's come on incredibly this season.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking again before. Last season, genuinely, people used his name as a punchline. That's no disrespect, that's just how it was. This season, he was a train-on player in a Socceroos squad, which says to me he's not that far down the pecking order to potentially play for the national team. And to go from that to that in the space of 12 months, especially when the club as well, don't forget, I think the intention was that Gus Herfsloop was going to be the number one goalkeeper. That hasn't happened because this bloke has upped his game so far.
But that also shows to me his resilience because, everyone was using his, 7-ish beers, he's had a 7-ish beers, all this stuff, and he got through that. And now he is, for me, the best goalkeeper in the league this year by far. Yep. Some of those saves that he's been pulling off as well, it's amazing what confidence can do because it looks like sometimes he's diving and he's gone, I've gone a bit early, I'll just hold myself in the air before this gets here and pulls off the save. Brilliant resilience, great character, Yeah, when you get down on the grass and have a talk to him in the pre-game, he's a great character.
With no shoes on.
No shoes, and he has his little tea and everything. Well done to him, because he copped a lot last year.
And I think this is a big shout, but I think Patrick Beach, obviously, he's in the Socceroos now, and he's had a tremendous season. And there was a period for 2 or 3 months where he was probably the standout player. But I think Devon Ishmael has been more consistent, to be honest. And Sydney FC has the best defensive record. It's no coincidence. Not only is shot stopping, but you know how much of difference. Like a goalkeeper behind you with his presence, he comes and claims everything. He's just such a presence for them. But that kind of rubs through the whole team, and it just instills so much confidence defensively. So I think he's been a massive contribution for that.
Yeah. So Sydney FC will go into the finals, hopefully carrying that form and with a lot of confidence. This is Ben Garuccio talking about what they could do when they get there.
What kind of statement do you think Sydney have made today to send a message to the rest of the competition? You're not only looking to make finals, but you're looking to go all the way.
Yeah, I think, these are the games you're going to get in finals, big games, better atmospheres. And, I think winning 2 derbies now this year has been a massive positive. But as I said, it's got to be consistency. It can't be, a win, then a draw, then a loss. I think that kind of sums up the league, and that's why it's so tight. But, we've got a couple more games to go now. Hopefully a couple more wins, take that into finals. And, yeah, obviously I've been smashed recently for saying that I think we've got the best squad in the league. But I believe on paper we've got the best squad. We just need to show that.
Thoughts, boys? Most people I speak to agree that they do have the best squad. Doesn't mean you're the best team. But I'm tempted to put them in a similar category to Melbourne City.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of when they're on, you don't want to play them.
Yeah, and I think Melbourne City on paper would have a strong case to say they're stronger. But I don't know, it's there or thereabouts. So they're definitely in the discussion. But, we haven't seen Sydney so far this season play as a sum of their parts too often, as he just alluded to. And, the signs are promising that maybe that'll still come. Yeah.
Let's have a look at the A-League table as it stands. And what's interesting about this is the news that came out yesterday from the AFC, Tuesday that is, that the ACL Elite is going to expand from 24 to 32 teams. We don't really know anything else aside from that and their plans to bring in what I guess is a rip-off of the AFL's wild card, where teams, 7th to 10th actually have to play in to get into the knockout round. It's unclear what that means for us, how many of those extra teams are going to come from existing nations in the ACL, or whether there's going to be new countries introduced. So we don't know if that means our allotment of teams that go into that tournament is going to go up, or if it stays as it is. But as that uncertainty hangs around, third place becomes a little bit more important, I think, just in case it turns out that these changes, which come into effect from next season, could open the door for someone to go straight into the top league.
I find it's mad that it comes in next year when, the teams are going on in this season now going, well, we don't know what the actual criteria is for next year. But, if it turns out that we get an extra spot, all of a sudden that 3rd to 6th, any of them could be anywhere, suddenly they're looking at that going, oh, there's a payday and another trip to Asia. So it might just light a little fire under them as well.
Completely agree.
Let's have a look at the fixtures coming up this weekend as well. We've run through a couple of these matches. Obviously, a lot up for grabs for the Jets on Friday night in Melbourne. And then Sunday, we see Auckland host the Mariners. Boys, anything else tickling your fancy from this lineup?
I think they're the 2 obvious games in terms of the permutations for the premiership. But obviously the Knicks as well. They're still in with the hunt. They were very confident at home playing against the Wanderers, who will be doing everything they can to avoid the wooden spoon. Again, I think Sydney FC, you just said it, it's the race for 3rd spot. There's kind of a few different races going on. Yeah,
well, I look across every single one has a team in it that is going to reflect on them at the end, whether they're 3rd, whether they're 6th, whether they're 5th, whether they're 4th, whether they're trying to get away from the wooden spoon for Wanderers. It's one of those rounds where you look at every game and go, oh, okay, something on here.
Yeah, for some reason I look at that Sunday game between Adelaide and Macarthur, and for me that just has the vibes of anything could happen in this match. It could be 7-6 or something with 3 red cards. Insane. I'll be watching just in case that happens. In the meantime, let's hear a little bit from a friend of Sydney FC midfielder Wataru Kamijo, who basically took his followers behind the scenes of the Sydney Derby.
That's my friend Wataru Kamijo, playing in the 44th Sydney Derby. Sometimes I forget that he's a freaking professional soccer player, because he acts just like a normal guy when he's around us, which I really respect. And a few minutes after I arrive, he does this. And right after he assisted the goal, I was legit getting chills because I was literally thinking, this is greatness that I'm seeing right now. I got to meet my idol after the game.
This guy needs to stop horrifying me. Hey, come over here.
And then he got dinner with us, Mr. Popular over here.
300,000 views that video currently, and hopefully one of them is for Mrs. Camijo one day. Nalin, welcome to the desk.
Thanks, Vince. Well, we'll kick it off with something that unfolded over the weekend. In the Wellington Phoenix Melbourne City game, there was a moment where Nathaniel Atkinson completely lost his cool. Now, at first, many people thought, oh, he's about to blow up at an opposition player, but it was towards his own teammate, Herman Ferreira. What do you think was actually being said here?
I'm very good at lip reading, and he said, pass me the ball. You never pass me the ball. Every week I'm out there and you never pass me the ball. Just pass me the ball. But in the middle of there was a few expletives. And it obviously is something that they've talked about, something that he has been building up of anger, and he is frustrated because he feels he's in a position to get them going forward and he's not being seen. And it's put them under pressure, which, you know, he's had to sprint back and help him get out of it, which I love. But sometimes in football, you get to the point when you've had discussions about stuff where you're in the heat of the game and the message needs to be get across properly. And if it's constructive and it's correct, you have to say it how you can say it. And look, let's be honest, Herman Ferreira is not going to go home and cry that Nathaniel Atkinson had a go at him. They'll flesh it out and then it'll be done.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think in that scenario, it was completely fine, and there's nothing wrong. In fact, being stern with your teammates often, results in a better performance. That's great, but I do have a pet peeve when it's not constructive, which was the word you used, which is, for some reason, whenever teams concede a goal, the goalkeeper just starts pointing fingers and losing it at players. That's something I've just never understood, but it almost happens every goal that's conceded. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, but that's because the people in front aren't doing their job. First time I've ever stuck up for a goalkeeper.
I assume it's just in the job description. Literally any goal, no matter how it's scored, the goalkeeper afterwards will be like, oh!
Yeah, it's like, even if a player didn't make a big mistake, and if they did, they would know it. You don't need to yell at them.
To be fair, I have seen a goalkeeper before, the ball go through his legs and then get up and abuse people.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you be quiet.
You guys, Tommy, you don't strike me as someone who will have a massive punch on with one of their teammates with Macca.
Yeah.
You do. Have you ever got
We're about to have a punch on here now.
Hey, have you ever got close to something like that happening or just blowing up during a match?
In a match? No. I think everyone I ever played with, when you had a go at them, they'd have a go back. And then, but you're professional. You have your go, they have their go, and you go, all right. And then you leave it till half time. I know plenty of punch-ups at training and in half time.
That's where the best ones happen,
Yeah,
right?
because professional, it's very rare do you see it, but on the field. But at half time, people walk in and they'll go straight to the person if they think that they've disrespected them or they're getting it wrong and they're not listening. That's where it happens.
And I think that things are changing too. I think young players now, they don't respond well to that. I think generally they wouldn't. So I think you're seeing it less and less and less. And to be honest, I was never a player. If someone yelled at me on the field or at half time, it wasn't going to make me play better. It probably just made me think you're an idiot, to be honest. So, I don't know. But it's like reading people's characters.
What? You're an idiot.
Yeah, great.
Nalin was right.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it depends on the. You have to know the person.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Too.
100%. Well, we're going to change gear very significantly to more of a feel-good story that happened over the weekend. So in that Perth Glory game, Nicholas Pennington, he got his goal. But what was so meaningful about this wasn't the finish, it was the celebration. Once he scored, all the players, including himself, immediately ran to their dugout. And what you will see on an alternative angle is actually one of the assistant coaches pulling their massage therapist, Shaz, to be included, and unfortunately she lost her father earlier in the week. I mean, this is such a special moment and it shows how connected the players are to their backroom staff, Tommy. Yeah,
I think the backroom staff play such an integral role in the culture of a club, and I think all too often they're probably forgotten or they don't feel included as part of the team that goes on the field. And any great team I've been involved in, and I think you're the same, Macca, they very much feel included in it. So they're amazing scenes, and there's obviously, gives you a little bit of insight into some of the culture at Perth and how together that team is, which is great to see. But, I mean, yeah, it's always nice when the staff who are in the background are feeling included, I think.
Yeah, and they never get any recognition. Their names aren't up in lights. And some of them are also the kind of characters too, if you do win something and they get to go up and get a medal, something, no, it's okay. No, you're a massive part of this. Without them, the players can't do their thing. So that was great to see.
It is awesome, a proper family club. And in a similar vein, it was a very wholesome celebration over at Gosford. It was 18-year-old Jesse Mantell who scored on starting debut. Now, he had to wait a little bit until he found out whether it was his goal that was awarded after a VAR check. But as soon as he did find out, he immediately rushed over to what Robbie Thompson said was half his school in the crowd in the stands. Firstly, how about him jumping over?
Also, it was a great finish.
Oh,
Got to be
yeah.
said. I don't think anybody expected him to score from that position, but to see him celebrate with his school friends, I mean, what a moment for him. That's the stuff the dreams are made of.
I don't think I've seen a celebration as boisterous after a long wait for VAR.
Yeah.
Normally it's like, oh yeah, we won, and there's a few little fist pumps, but it was like, no, we're on here. Go! There's my boys. I'm going to celebrate.
You can't let VAR ruin your first goal in professional football. You've got to do it. So I respect that 1,000%.
And I respect the hurdle over the advertisement board for his age and height.
Explosiveness required.
And massive. Nizzy Jr., as they call him. We can't wait to keep an eye on him. But it was someone's birthday a couple of days ago, Hiroki Sakai. And to celebrate, the Auckland FC star ordered 5 kilos of prime Wagyu beef from Japan to celebrate with his teammates. Now, I can't take credit for this. Vince spotted this and sent it through, but
I'm sure you might have found it eventually.
either way, it's in here. Have any of you sort of been surprised for your birthday from your teammates, or even planned something like this? Maybe not as expensive because that cost thousands of dollars, but a similar sort of
We're still
gesture.
waiting for Macca to bring in something equivalent to that. It's been a long time waiting, but
It'd be a long wait.
no, to be fair, my birthdays were usually fairly underwhelming. Nothing like that, I would say. You had to bring in a cake often for teams. On
you
your
had to
birthday.
bring in,
for your own birthday, which I thought was a bit weird, but
try and bring the cheapest cake possible.
Yeah, that's right.
Most of the things you got in a club where you got a present would be like a Secret Santa or something, and it was usually taking the mickey out of the player, or it wasn't really a positive.
it's true.
It was, let's all laugh at you for a couple of minutes, and we all got that done to us. But I'll play with him any day. He's going to bring them.
To cap it all off, the PFA have launched a sustainability program. The main aim of the program is to basically bring in any jerseys, kits that you're no longer using and upcycle and donate them. And there'll actually be a donation box as well in A-League men, A-League women's dressing rooms for the players to get involved. So we've all brought in a jersey, haven't we? I've got Auckland's goalkeeper kits from last season.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
That is a nice kit.
What did you guys bring in?
This is useless. I
We've
think
all
this is
gone to
worthless.
get
So
rid of
I've
these ones that no one wants.
We've been trying to for the last 10 years
no
get rid
one
of these.
would buy them, so we may as well just donate them.
they've been hanging over there for some reason. I don't know what the purpose is, but look,
Also-
if anything, free to a good home.
Exactly. And also can be used as a dirty towel if you need it.
Wash the car.
Exactly.
Yeah, very
Exactly.
good.
He's not in today, so we don't need to worry.
Yeah. And he won't be watching, so it's all good. And I hope he does, though. Just this once. Thank you, Nalin. Thank you, boys.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week.